Good morning from the beautiful shores of Lake DeSoto. We've had some disturbing news, but it has to be put in perspective. Based on recent crime statistics, there's about 6.3 or 7.7 homicides per 100,000 people every year. So roughly 7 homicides per 100,000 people. Well, there's roughly 20,000 people, plus or minus, in Hot Springs Village. So we should have 1.4 murders a year, or homicides a year. But let me tell you the truth. And the truth is, statistical averages come and go, but in Hot Springs Village, in the last 55 years, there have been 2 homicides in Hot Springs Village, and one is more understandable than the other, but I'm going to read you the most recent. Hot Springs Village man was arrested on a charge of first-degree murder Thursday evening after allegedly fleeing from police when located a deceased woman in his house. This was his girlfriend, we believe. Stephen Keith Gantz, 54, who lives on Narcosi Lane in the Castellon subdivision just down here on Lake DeSoto, was taken into custody around 6 p.m. on charges of first-degree murder, punishable by life in prison. He was fleeing in a vehicle and punishable by 10 years. Gantz, who has no prior criminal history, was held on zero bond and was set to appear Friday in Garland County District Court. According to the release from the Hot Springs Village Police Department, at approximately 5 p.m. Thursday afternoon, police officers responded to a disturbance on Nicosi Lane. Reports of, quote, a man running through the neighborhood and shouting. Upon arrival, officers saw the man, later identified as Gantz, leaving the area in a black SUV. When officers attempted to initiate a traffic stop, Gantz sped off quickly at a high rate of speed, quote, leading officers on a lengthy and dangerous pursuit. He came back about an hour later, and the officers arrested him. During a safety check, they found a deceased female inside the building. And the Hot Springs Village Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division is starting an investigation. If you have any information, know anything about this, 501-922-0011. That's the non-emergency number for the village, 501-922-0011. That is tragic. That's tragic for Mr. Gantz. That's tragic for the deceased lady. That's tragic for the family. It's tragic for the village. I think it's horrible. Let me tell you, to give you some perspective about the other homicide in Hot Springs Village, which, again, is not as you may imagine. We talk repeatedly about how low crime is here, and it is. It is incredibly low here. But as our ex-police chief, Ricky Middleton used to say, and as Miss Christie says too, we have every crime that's in the real world. We're not unique in that. We have every crime. We just have a whole lot less of it. And that's about as good as you could ask, in my opinion. If you think about it, in the last 10 years where we've had 19,000 people, we should have had roughly 15 murders. That's low. I mean, that would be a low number. 15 to 17, technically. As we've been growing through these last years, I guess, 15 years ago when I moved here, we had something like 14,000. Still, we've only had 2 in 55 years. 55 years. Obviously, during that time, we've been growing. Numbers have changed. There's no question about that. But the part that you need to know is that the other instance, possibly more tragic, possibly. An older gentleman, I believe this was in 93. We went 33 years without any homicides at all in Hot Springs Village. 2003. There was an older gentleman, had dementia, was becoming confused and agitated. Those of you that know, many times people with Alzheimer's or even dementia, they can become very argumentative and combative. This gentleman was convinced his wife of 40 plus years was having an affair. In an act of incredibly regrettable anger, he picked up an ashtray and threw it at her. He hit her in the head, and caused a concussion. And the next day she passed away. So that was ruled a homicide, but just as tragic as it could be. Anytime there's a loss of life, it's tragic, no question. It disturbs the peace. It changes the fabric just a little. Because everybody wants to say this. We all want to say, well, I never thought it would happen here. Maybe that's naivete. Maybe we just never thought it would happen here because we didn't want it to happen here. That's possible. On another note, this last week on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, Miss Janae Cook, who is our realtor sponsor, wonderful lady. We've got a lot more shows coming out with her. She's a delight, really a delight. Miss Janae helped close on a sale of I guess you would call it a barn dominium. It was a 2-bed, 2-bath, cute as it could be. I mean, looked brand new. It was brand new. Built on a couple acres out on Highway 128. And Mr. Steve Simpkins, who was, he did our irrigation here. He worked for the THA, the Town Homeowners Association. You may have seen his company. He was pretty active on Facebook. Fat Boys was one of his business entity. He had been an irrigation specialist. I think he was the state manager for Toro. I mean, these big guys. He knew how to computate flow and how much electricity you had to have and water and irrigation and how much you put down, and genius guy in his field, no question. And he met with Janae, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, and they closed on the sale of this beautiful little house he had built. I mean, just picture perfect. And he started crying. And Janae said she started crying. Because he had built it for his wife, and she died of cancer a week before they got to move in. So selling it was very bittersweet. Very bittersweet. So this was Friday. I think it was either Friday or Saturday. He went to Kentucky to have Father's Day with his son. So they were out on I think it was a big river or over a large lake. And they were fishing, and one of these squalls came through. You heard about the storms in West Virginia that were 3 inches in 30 minutes, that kind of thing, just biblical types of flooding. And unfortunately, the boat became upset. Steve fell out, could not get back to the boat. His son, who was, I think, active military, if I'm not mistaken, tried to save him, jumped in and tried to save him, then had to swim for 45 minutes to the nearest little island just to be able to save himself through this torrential downpour and storm, and watched his father drowned on Father's Day weekend. Say, Dennis, you're just a Debbie Downer today. You could see it that way if you want to do that, and I understand you would have every right. That is the way that we can look at life. We can look at life as if it's a blessing or it's to be endured. To me, every day this side of the green grass is a blessing, and I think it should be for you too. If you haven't recently listened to the song, Live Like You Are Dying, it might be the day. We all are dying. No matter how young, no matter how old. I wonder a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they'll ask, well, have you had any recent feelings of depression or whatever? And I don't know if that's just a mental health scanning, or maybe they just ask old people. Who knows? But I can understand it, because as you realize there are more sunsets than there are sunrises in your future, that no matter how immortal you thought you were going to be as a kid, no matter how you thought maybe that science would cure all of the ills of aging and set everything right, that you will pass from this life. My encouragement is to live every day, love every moment. Go find the people who love you and you love them and hug their necks. I'm going to go one step further. Those of you in the sound of my voice, there is somebody you need to forgive or somebody who needs to forgive you. Yeah. That seems to be, excuse me, the older I grow and the longer I live, that seems to be the constant. Somebody hurt me, somebody hurt my feelings, somebody abused me, somebody didn't treat me right, somebody fill in the blank, right? In the words of Mr. Jim Rohn, who I thought was an incredible motivator, he said, "Heartache is not reserved for the chosen few. We've all got heartaches. It's just what you choose to do with them." For me, for today, I'm going to go hug that beautiful Teresa Diane. I'm going to remember the wonderful time I had with my mom and dad this weekend. My dad, who's 89 and who's doing quite well. Actually, by the time he was my age, he had 3 heart attacks and had developed diabetes from it. But he is still kicking. He is no quitter, and I love him for that. I'm sure there's somebody in your life you love that way. My friends, go out and live this day, make this day great. Come to Hot Springs Village and live in the lowest crime rate I'm aware of. But even at that, yes, we have crime and crime happens and it is sourly regrettable. But it's no excuse to not live your life, to love those that you love, to be grateful for today. The good book says no man is promised tomorrow, and that is exactly the truth. Dennis Simpson, from the sobering edition of Hot Springs Village Venues. We will see you next time. Don't delay. Call Janae. Janae Cook, Taylor Realty, 501-617-9747. Whether you're buying, selling, or just considering. Oh, we don't need a realtor yet. Yes, you do. Don't delay. Call Janae. 501-617-9747. Hot Springs Village Venues is brought to you by KVRE at 92.9 and streaming worldwide on iHeartRadio. KVRE is your family-owned local hometown radio station, so be sure and tune in for live local programming, news, sports, and information every day at 92.9. HSV Radio. HSV Radio is heard every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. or streaming on any of the major platforms. Hot Springs Village Radio is an eclectic mix of music, motivation, great music history, and Saturday morning fun. Join us every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., 92.9. And brought to you by the Hot Springs Village Voice, Hot Springs Village only newspaper, also serving all of Saline and Garland County. Your local newspaper for local events. No one else has more local news than the Hot Springs Village Voice about the Hot Springs Village area. Sign up today at hsvvoice.com or call 501-623-6397. Again, that's 501-623-6397. Located at 3576 North Highway 7 in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, just in front of Walmart. Brought to you by Gotta Go Vacations. www.gottagovacations.com. Troy Woods and Patrick Cunningham at 501-204-4805 can help you with any of your travel needs. Patrick and Troy have been airline stewards for decades, and their experience and their travel can serve you well. GottaGoVacations.com, again, that's GottaGoVacations.com, can help you book the perfect tour for you. Whether it's a riverboat cruise up the Mississippi or the Rhine, these guys are who you need to call. 501-204-4805. Troy or Patrick, 501-204-4805. GottaGoVacations.com. D&D Village Properties, Hot Springs Village only short-term rental with over 2,100 five-star reviews. All properties are lakefront. They include complimentary kayaks, hot tub, pet-friendly, and a stunning view of the lake. Visit DD Village Prop today for your vacation getaway.